Well, I'm here to tell you, you have a brand new commission. You have a brand new county commission. We have two new commissioners, myself and Commissioner Randy Netherland out of Belfair. So whatever you may or may not think about the past, I hope that you'll put that away and understand that you've got a new commission with new ideas, open ears, and a different way of thinking. So I wanted to take a little bit of time to talk about some of the things that we're doing. Our goal is to be proactive, to be problem solvers, to be open to hearing your issues and your problems and your ideas. And so far I think we are succeeding. We've had people tell us that it feels different in the commission chambers. And that, to me, is one sign of success, but it's early. We know that. All three of us are dedicated and hard workers. We have found that we work well together. Commissioner Netherland is a doer. I'm a planner, and Commissioner Shelton brings a lot of institutional history. I think that's a tremendous combination for some successful growth. A challenge I hear many times about three-person commissions is that you don't have an opportunity to really discuss issues because, and if you're not aware, there's a state law called the Open Public Meetings Act. Anytime two people on a three-person commission are together, it's considered a quorum. And you can't discuss county business unless you've let the public know with 24-hour notice. We as a commission understood that in order to have good ideas come up from the bottom, to brainstorm, and to have a free-flowing discussion of ideas, we needed to have the kind of discussion that is considered illegal under the Open Meetings Act. So what we've done to mitigate that is to, on our regular briefing meetings, which are on Mondays, we have quite a bit of time planned for open and free-flowing discussion. Sometimes they're topic-oriented, and we'll bring in the staff and ask them for that. This has turned out to be a tremendous, tremendous opportunity to really talk through and think through and walk through some tough ideas. And I think it's created a collaborative working spirit that I think you'll notice in some of the legislation that will come forward here in the next few months. We've also scheduled, and will continue to schedule, opportunities on a regular meeting time for citizen input on topics where there's not necessarily a decision to be made, but where citizens have made, we have one of them in front of us, who have made the request, I'd like to be able to have a discussion about this issue. So we started it with the topic on our sheriff's department does private contracts with private homeowner associations for special patrols. We had a discussion, that is a topic item, and had people come in and give their input on it. And we'll have another one next Tuesday evening at 6 o'clock on the fairgrounds issue and the future of the fairgrounds. Not that there's a decision in front of us, but it's an opportunity for us to hear from you, the public, your thoughts on various issues. If I'm representing you, I need to know what you're thinking. I can, get out there and I can talk to you in various venues. But to have a very formalized way to do this is also a tremendous opportunity for me to know what you want to do, because there's some tremendously complicated and controversial decisions that need to come forward in the next year, and I need to know from you what you think the priorities of the county should be. Because I'm new, it's better for me. I know we were to talk a little bit about what we did last year and what we're doing going forward. Because I'm new, it's easier for me to talk about what we're doing going forward, because frankly, I've been focused on anything from the past that's a problem that I need to solve, and I don't know how much to get into that. But there are some successes that the county experienced last year. One of the ones I'm most excited about is our shellfish beds. About 2,500 acres of shellfish beds were open for harvest last year. That's almost half of what the Puget Sound Partnership had wanted statewide or Puget Sound wide, all in this county. And that was a direct result of a tremendous amount of collaborative work among a lot of agencies, state agencies, federal, local, our tribes, the city of Shelton's investment in their wastewater treatment plant. And that included 1,700 acres in the Lower Hood Canal area, including about 250 acres, 280 acres at Belfair State Park, which I think is significant for what it could mean for tourism. As a child, I came from the Seattle area to Belfair State Park to get oysters. And so knowing that that's open again for people, I think that could have a nice impact on our tourism industry. 750 acres in Oakland Bay was opened up, and then the 1,700 in Hood Canal from the Potlatch area going around to Belfair. I think that was a tremendous example of what you do when you collaborate and you put your nose, and you say this is a problem that's got to get solved, and you're going to do it. The problem there is that you can't rest on those laurels. Water quality is economic development in Mason County, and we have to make sure that we're staying on top of that. The Hood Canal Coordinating Council will help us with that because they do help us with the pollution identification work in the Hood Canal. This year, in April 21st, we will open an 82-acre park called Oakland Bay Park. This is a tremendous resource for this county. It's out in the agate area. We're going to have a grand opening on Earth Day. And that was collaborative work as well with the state of Washington and Washington Wildlife Recreation Funds. It's a tremendous amount of beautiful park with trails going down to undeveloped waterfront, which is an old homestead. The trail goes through Mulaney Creek, which is a fish-bearing stream. And down at the bottom, at the water, is a house that was just put on the historic register. It's an old farmstead. So please, I think this park will also have an opportunity to expand our tourism activities here in the county. So I hope that you'll all make a point of going out and visiting that park. It'll open on Earth Day in April. Last April, the commissioners voted a 0.1% of 1% increase in our sales tax for mental health services. There's been a group that has been meeting since June to identify the gaps in our mental health services, and the state law that authorizes that tax also requires that there be a family recovery court associated with that. It's kind of like a drug court, but it's more of a wraparound services around all the issues that are affecting the family involved with substance abuse as well. The drug court, or the family recovery court, will probably take in their first family next month, and then the request for proposals for mental health services addition. And these mental health services are going to be targeted towards early intervention, because that's where you get the most bang for your buck. It gets really expensive when you start doing psychiatric help for people that have tremendous amount of need. But if you can get in early, probably can get some issues taken care of early on. And we're hoping to get some requests for proposals started written and out by summer. And the committee has dedicated, or has promised that they've given themselves the goal that they will have money out the door by next fall. Initiatives that we're starting in so that's kind of in the past and where we're moving forward, and those things that had started last year. Initiatives that are starting in 2013. I introduced a proposal to our commissioners and then to our lodging taxes advisory committee, a way to perhaps be a little bit more strategic about how we use our lodging tax funds. We generate about $250,000 worth of monies to promote tourism in this county. We compete with Grays Harbor County, who gets about $3 million, with Benton County in their wine country, who have about $2 million, Lake Chelan, who has $1.5 million. So with only $250,000, again, we got to do some really efficient, strategic uses of that money to get the most bang for our buck. I hear constantly, tourism is the future for Mason County. Well, then we got to get smart about how we're doing that. Mason, your chamber is doing a tremendous job, but basically it's on volunteer help. They only get about $10,000 for their work, and as one of our lodging tax committee members said, you get what you pay for. I'd like to be really strategic about how we use that money, and so I've got a proposal in front of the lodging tax committee. I am asking for other people to give me some input on that. They've started off, they took a look at it, we took some public input, and they at least want to take that money and carve out the uses. This much for generalized tourism, this much for the festivals, this much for promoting new festivals perhaps. So this is something that I hope will keep moving forward, and I really want a lot of public input on this, or a lot of your input, especially if you are, Mr. Geist, a tourism type industry. We need to know what do you want to do with that money? Because one thing I also found out sitting in the chamber seat is everybody has an idea about what you should do for tourism. So it's really important, you know, to hear everybody, but you kind of get strategic about it. When I took on this job, I knew that there were some challenges, and I wasn't afraid of them. I jumped in, and so now Commissioner Netherland, Commissioner Shelton, and I are ready to take some on. And I just wanted to, you know, I wanted to be good news as much as I can, but I need to be real with you about what's going on here in the county. One of the tremendous successes of last year was the opening of the, or we're almost ready to open the Belfair wastewater treatment plant. Unfortunately, that's also one of our biggest challenges. That treatment plant was designed when we were in the go-go period, and it was designed with an assumption of 8% growth per year. I still, to this day, wonder how that could have happened. As a result, we've got a tremendous amount of debt service and very, very few customers. And it'll take a lot more money to grow the customer base so that we can get a lot more of the service area serviced. So we know this is a challenge. It's taking a big chunk of what we have for economic development monies. We call them .09 monies just for the debt service, and that's been committed for a year and a half more, or for 2 more years. We know that we need help from the citizens as well, the ratepayers. So we've developed and just passed last week an ordinance to develop a citizen advisory committee to look at long-term funding for that. We may have to think about how we can go ahead and open up development. Right now you can't build anything in Belfair unless you're on the sewer line. And so we're thinking, how can we maybe open up development without having sewer service, just so that we can start getting a customer base, a future customer base built. We have some issues with our criminal justice system. Our caseloads are increasing. We're at probably about half of, just within the first 3 months, we're about half of what we were totally last year. We've had some high-profile felony cases, which we don't always budget for because you never know when they're going to come, and the monies that were set aside in reserve for those are gone. They're gone. And it seems like that every month we get one more high-profile felony case again. And there's a tremendous amount of responsibility about giving adequate public defensive services to them, as well as your jails. Jail facilities need to have special accommodations. You can't always put them in group settings. That's a tremendous cost to us. Plus, our jail is overcrowded. It was built to hold 74 people. We have almost an average daily rate of 115, so we're way overcrowded there, and it's an aging facility. So we have some capital needs there. We need more deputies. I'm a firm believer in economic development. When all things are considered equal, you've got the water, you've got the roads, you've got the sewers, all things considered equal, the tipping point in companies coming is your quality of life. We have the beautiful mountains, we've got the beautiful water. Other pieces of quality of life are amenities, retail services, and public safety and education. What can I do about that as county commissioner is public safety. And I want to do what I can within our limited budget to increase that safety. So we're working with the sheriff as much as we can. We have issues around command staff compaction. Our command staff make less than the patrol staff. We need to count overtime. It makes it kind of hard for succession planning when you can't promise somebody a raise if they were to move into a leadership position. We need more deputies. We need a north end detachment. So we're working with the sheriff about taking some of our monies and trying to see if we can move towards a north-south end detachment so people have more assured services in the north, or throughout this county. It's a big county to cover. So that all this goes down to the budget. And Mason County's experienced flat revenues for the last 3 years, but increasing costs. It's a structural issue. It's an economic issue. Yeah, we'd like to see more spending going on in the economy, but to some extent, to a large extent, it's a structural issue because the cost of county services, the kind of goods that counties buy are a lot more expensive than the average household. We buy more health care, we buy more labor, We buy more fuel, we buy more, oil products with our roads. And so our inflation rate is a lot higher than the average person's. Plus, we are in a very competitive place for for government-type jobs. Thurston County and Kitsap County pay a tremendous lot more than we do. It means we're going to have to start thinking about what is the new normal and how are we going to ratchet back to adjust to the types of revenues that we get. We can hope for higher revenues, and we can try to do what we can economically with economic development and infrastructure financing. But we know that there's some structural changes we need to make, but I want to make sure that they're smart. We all want to do that. So Commissioner Netherland and Shelton and I are starting next week weekly meetings with each of the departments, going through the budgets line by line, identifying what's a mandated service, what's a nice to have, what's something that we started because it was a great grant, but now we're paying it out of our own pocket. These are tough decisions, and this is where I'm going to be coming back to you folks and asking you, would you rather have a fairgrounds or would you rather have more cops? Would you like to see our jail brought up to speed? Our juvenile jail was supposed to only last 5 years. I think it's in the 15th year. There's a lot of tough decisions out there, and I really want to hear from you folks what you think is the priority of county government, all given the kind of constraints we have. Don't mean this to be a downer, but I'm just hoping to let you folks know that we're open to it. This is a new commission with new ideas, and we also want to hear your ideas, and we very much want you to know that this is your county, and we want to hear from you. Just to not get too much downer, I'm going to talk about a couple of new things, and then I'll be done. One of the things that I am a planner, and I come from the land use background, and one of the things I want to see us as a county do in the planning of the things that make us a strong county is to be more serious about our 6-year transportation plan. I told our road department, I said, no more of these straightening out roads in the middle of the county, of the country. When you move to a rural county, I'm sorry, you live on county roads. I want our roads improvements to be where we're going to get return on investment, where there's more bang for the buck, where it's going to invite more development. So I want our road planning to be in our urban growth areas. I want us to build the roads where development will follow. And so that means planning and having a new decision matrix about where we spend our money. And I want us to make sure we're always, every year, putting money aside and doing the maintenance work, because you don't maintain them, you pay for it later. We want to do this with our capital facilities, so that when the economy comes back, we're going to set some money aside for it, because we know these are the capital facilities projects that need to happen. And then I'm just really excited, and I want you as a business community to be very excited about the new Mason Transit Center going in downtown. I think this is a shot in the arm for Shelton and this community, because I also firmly believe that public investment stimulates private investment. And this is a project that will just revitalize this downtown area. And I hope you'll get behind it, and I hope you'll support it. And just watch out, this is going to be something great. So that's where we are so far. Hopefully I'll be back here next year telling you about a tremendous number of successes, and thank you very much.